I'm Juan Francisco, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm here with you to explore your intuition, the supernatural, and self empowerment. This is Third Eyesight. Starla Yilmaz has been reading tarot for over 20 years and has been cross stitching for even longer. This year, Starla will release the Butterfly Wisdom Tarot, a charming deck of 78 intricately cross stitched butterfly designs based on the Rider Waite Smith system that offers comforting guidance for readers of all experience levels, while providing support for life's toughest moments. In the companion guidebook, folks will discover allegorical short stories written both to inspire and delight, as well as questions to invite deeper interpretation. The guidebook also includes 6 butterfly patterns so readers can create their own, using supplies from home. With approachable card imagery and text that includes simple keywords and stories, the Butterfly Wisdom Tarot is a deck for readers of all experience levels. We're talking to Starla today on Third Eyesight. Starla, thanks so much for joining Third Eyesight.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting.
Yeah, I was so excited when I got your email, as I was saying before I hit record, that when I got your email and saw the news of this new tarot deck, which comes out in the summer, right?
Yeah, it comes out June 28th.
Awesome. So very soon, and folks will be able to listen to this just before it comes out, before your deck comes out. The deck is so beautiful. I think it's so unique. I can't wait to get into it. Yes, it's right there for the YouTube folks. They can see it right behind you. I think it's just gorgeous. And when I looked at the imagery and the cross stitch visuals of the deck, it just something moved me, something felt different. So this is why I wanted to chat with you. So first, tell folks where you're based and about your work.
So I am in Kennesaw, Georgia, and a few years ago, I had a crazy idea that I would design and cross stitch a tarot deck. Um, and it's all butterflies. Each card has its own butterfly, and the fun part is that the butterflies are real. And for a good portion of them, if you have like an insect identifier app and you put it on the picture, it will pull up the correct butterfly.
That is so cool. Wow, that's really cool. And do you have a personal relationship with butterflies, or are they a symbol for you? What do they personally mean for you?
So butterflies, of course, are a symbol of transformation. I think that's kind of universal. For me at the time, I was kind of going through this healing journey. I had been, oh, I think a cat just jumped on this.
As someone who's a dog dad, and people listeners often hear my dog Sella hop onto me, and yeah, so it's pets are welcomed.
But anyway, so I had actually been misdiagnosed for almost 20 years, and it made a lot of things difficult. And then all of a sudden, when I got correctly diagnosed, it was like almost overnight. I was basically cured. I mean, I'm not cured, but it's like my symptoms were correctly managed and all that. And so it's just, but still, just that whole like, boom, you wake up and you're healed. And you kind of have to reorientate everything in your life. And it's just like, this is great. This is what I wanted, but what do I do with myself? Because my whole life had revolved around just, being sick and managing all those symptoms and stuff. And cross stitch, I've been cross stitching, since I was like fourth and fifth grade or whatever. And it was always there in like, those really dark times, those really healing times. And so then I was like, okay, let me just start cross stitching. And then butterflies just seemed appropriate because they're symbols of transformation and everything.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I often hear from clients of mine in readings how butterflies do mean that. And when I personally see butterflies out in the wild, which happens often, but in New York City, I live very much in the city, and it is not really that often based on where I live. But when I do see butterflies, I for me they're personally a sign from spirit. So I understand to an extent the symbolism and what it can mean to someone personally. And I would like to ask you, what was your introduction to tarot? Because I know that this deck is based on the Rider Waite Smith system of tarot. So what was your introduction to tarot? When did you first start practicing?
So my first introduction to tarot, Well, I mean, I guess, it's like I'd seen it in like movies or whatever, just like, the scary fortune teller, like, ooh, the death card or whatever. But the first time I really felt like drawn to it, I was 18 and in a metaphysical shop. Highly recommend if you haven't ever been. But there was this deck and it just called to me. And it was like, this is really weird. I'm not sure what's going on. And it's just like, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and so I went back and bought it. And it's the Cosmic Tarot, gorgeous deck, absolutely love it. I think that one is based off of the Thoth system because it has, like the Prince of Wands, Princess, and all of that. So that's what I used for a long time. And it was a shock the first time I picked up a Rider Waite Smith base deck because I was like, wait, where are all the women?
Very good point.
But then it was like especially for this project when I started getting into like the history of tarot and everything, I was like, okay, now I understand where all of that was coming from. And I don't want to say I took some shortcuts when I was doing this, but I designed a cross stitch deck, so I didn't want to recreate a system. Um, so that's why I went with the Rider Waite Smith system because it's most people that's their introduction to tarot.
Right. Yeah, I know it was definitely mine. And I also know there's so many other systems as well. And with the cross stitching, you did mention that for you, cross stitching was it has been an activity that has carried you through times of healing and times of change. So why? I mean, maybe I just answer your question for you, but I would love to ask you to delve even more, if or share more about why cross stitching for this deck. And why, I think the reason I wanted to chat with you is because I've seen, many illustrated decks, which of course are many beautiful decks. Some of them are my absolute favorite. And when I saw your email come through and I saw the images of your deck, I thought, I mean, I've grown up learning how to cross stitch. I think so many of us have in some of our school systems. And I haven't in so long. I remember how much I used to enjoy it. So when I saw your deck, it reminded me, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. This is about you to answer the question. But it reminded me of my childhood, and it reminded me of something that is an activity that it is a very soothing activity to cross stitch. And it's amazing how by X formations you can create this image, right? So that's what I felt when I saw your deck. So could you share a little more about why infuse the modality or activity of cross stitching into a tarot deck, and how you feel your cross stitching, your passion for cross stitching crosses, well, wow, no pun intended, crosses with what the tarot deck means to you. Was that a helpful question? I feel like that was very wordy of me for a podcaster.
I think I know where you were coming from. So I actually never considered myself an artist. I was a writer. Cross stitching was just my fun little hobby, and you know, I'm just following a pattern, right? I'm not necessarily people will be like, "Oh, you're so creative," and I'm like, "Well, I just followed a pattern." But I had always wanted to kind of create my own patterns, and there was a couple times like I made some Pokemon cross stitches, right? Like I pulled pixel art. And I just was like, okay, here's my pattern. And then I just shoved them together. So that was kind of like how I started designing. Um, so I guess that's why I chose cross stitch because I may not have gone to art school, but I have been cross stitching for 20 years. And so it's like I know what cross stitch is, how it works, what it's supposed to look like, all that sort of thing. And it was a huge learning curve on the art side. And as far as when I initially started this project, I was just thinking about me and focusing on my healing. And I was like about 6 or 7 cards in, and it was like I could already tell that I was on the way, like this is what I was supposed to be. And I was just like, if this is helping me, then maybe it could possibly help other people. And that's when I started, it's just like, and and before I took the plunge into like, should I get this published or not? I was like, if everyone rejects me, would I still complete this? And the answer was 100% yes. I was like, I want this to hang on my wall no matter what. And when I had that answer, I was like, okay, then I feel comfortable pursuing publication.
That is such that I think that's such brilliant insight that asking yourself if no one were watching, if no one was expecting this from me, would I still want to pursue this and do this just for myself? And I think that just speaks so much to the intention with which you did this piece of beautiful work. And I think something that I think is marvelous looking at your deck to consider for folks to consider as is there is, I mean, drawing and painting, of course, that is a physical activity and you're pouring your heart into it, and it's just really lovely to see another activity. I mean, I'm imagining just you all the manual work, cross stitching these designs and all the heart and work that gets put into it, and we get to see it on these cards infused with the meaning of each card that each design is associated with. So I see all the hard work behind you and your backdrop behind you of all your cards, and folks will have a link to see and to purchase or pre-order your card deck when it comes out. So they'll be able to see all the hard work that was put into it, and that's what I first noticed was, wow, this was a lot of hard work. And I'm hearing just the intention you did it with. So, what would you like folks to experience when they look at your deck, when they use it? What are words or what are thoughts, experiences you want them to or hope that they have when they use your deck?
So I hope that right, as you a lot of people have, just these associations with cross stitch, especially, connecting to women in their life, older women like their mothers or grandmothers or things. And a lot of people come to tarot when they are going through hard parts in their lives. So I hope and my intention is that using this deck will kind of feel like, that warm, gentle hug from a mother or grandmother who may not necessarily be there.
Yeah, there is something very cozy about cross stitching, and I mean
Yeah.
it's also hard. It's a lot of work, so I don't want to dismiss that either. Um, what is um what is one misconception that you think is out there about tarot? Like if there was a misconception you could address or debunk, what would that be about tarot or reading tarot cards?
Well, I mean, the idea that it's like anything else in the metaphysical community, that it somehow is like a pact with the devil or whatever. It's just like, look, tarot cards are just a tool. They were originally created to play a game, right? Like whether you use them to just look at the artwork or answer questions or whatever, or even to play card games, it's like they're just cards. Well, I mean, I say they're just cards. Obviously, they're a lot more than just cards to me, but but I think also another misconception I want to debunk is the idea that you have to have a cards gifted to you. Um, and a way around that is just like you can always just gift yourself a deck of cards.
Yeah, I bought my own first tarot deck, the Rider Waite Smith deck, and before I had bought it, it was for several months. I had considered what I had read online, what a friend told me that oh, it has to be gifted to you, and but if I thought, but I don't know anyone who's gonna give it to me. So
Right.
I really want to practice, and I want to learn it. And yes, I fully agree with you. It's semi. I guess it's semi superstitious, maybe. I don't know where that comes from, but and then also yes, I was asked the other day about horror movies that include tarot. There was a movie called Tarot released a year ago or
Hmm.
something. And I love horror movies. Do I want to watch it? Yes. Do I think it's ridiculous? Also yes. But yeah, I totally agree. I think there's so much stigma, and it is at the end of the day. And when you said, they're just cards, I also resonate with that as a tarot card reader. Like they are a tool. All the power
Right.
is with us, and they are beautiful cards. They are very gifted tools, but they are tools at the end of the day, and they are an extension of the power we already have. I think. So yeah, I totally aligned with what you just shared. Um, did you grow up in a family or in any environments where tarot or mysticism, the metaphysical, was something talked about, or was this something that you discovered on your own? If that makes
Very much something I discovered on my own. I grew up basically in a Presbyterian church. My grandfather was an elder in the Presbyterian church. Um, Ironically, I think because, the Presbyterians are very much just like, the focus is on the Bible and the words in the Bible and studying the Bible. And then I would come up with questions and they didn't always like my questions. And I didn't get the answers that I was just like, wait, you're giving me an answer, but you're not giving me the biblical evidence for it. So it's just your opinion. So if it's just your opinion, why is it considered the truth if it's your opinion? And so it was like I snuck out of the house, went to the metaphysical shop on my own. Like, I hid things under my pillows and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have, just to protect their identity, but I have an acquaintance who lives with their parents and has to hide their crystals and yes, I had a classmate growing up. I went to a Catholic school and then I went to a Presbyterian inspired but non-denominational Protestant high school. And I think I always had friends that would ask all those questions that folks in the church or in the schools would be like, well, why are you asking that? And I never was, I think, brave enough to ask those questions, but I definitely resonated with those folks. And as a gay person, there's a whole other, level to that.
Right.
But yeah, it's what was your? So it sounded like you went to these metaphysical shops. Did you feel like you were able to find a community of like-minded folks, or is that something you're still seeking? Yeah, what was it like finding community or creating community regarding this stuff?
So I actually didn't. I think that was actually part of what was very freeing to me was the whole idea of being a solitary practitioner. That you didn't have to go to church every Sunday, that you didn't have to, like you could just do it yourself, and that was equally valid. Um, and so for a long time, I was just a solitary. Recently, in the last few years, I have started forming a community. I'm actually very blessed to live close to a universalist Unitarian church, and it has a pagan group that meets every month. And so I'm at that point in my life now, a mom. I do like community. And so it is rather nice having, a group where every month we get together and we talk about like crystals or Reiki or tarot, what have you.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I completely understand. There is something freeing about embarking on this journey solo and just finding the truth for oneself. There is something very powerful about that. And yeah, there's no one right way to go about that. Community or no or not isolation. That's a very different connotation, but whether it's community or doing it focusing on one's own journey, I think there's no right or wrong way. Absolutely. What
Right.
is
So it's
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
you have the three of cups and you have the hermit. They are both equally valid cards.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is your favorite card, if you can choose one of the tarot deck, or maybe two?
So I think it varies from tarot deck to tarot deck. I don't have like one favorite. On this one that I did, it is Judgment. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, right there.
Yep, yep.
This one was really special to me for two reasons. One, I wanted to incorporate a butterfly with translucent wings, but I wasn't sure how that would work. And then the other thing was I'm actually a trumpet player.
Ah, I see. Cool.
So, and again, I wasn't sure if the trumpet would like translate because it's like a lot of times, like I would have an initial sketch and then I would do the pattern. It's like sketch, great, pattern, great, stitch it, awful. And so, luckily on this one, it all worked out great. But yeah, that one's my favorite.
And what was a card? How do I phrase it? If there was a card in the deck as you were creating the Butterfly Wisdom Tarot deck, a challenging card to translate from what you knew about the tarot system to what you wanted to convey in yours, like one a card that was a challenge.
The card that was the most challenging was the Five of Swords. Big surprise. It took me about a month. So on average, it took me a week per card from, concept to stitching it. A Five of Swords easily took me at least a month. And I went through three different concepts and fully stitched it twice and had to undo it because it was like sketch great or concept great, sketch great, pattern great, stitch it like um and so it was like the first time it happened I was like okay, this happens or whatever, but the second time I was like the universe is really drawing in that energy for this card. um and so yeah, it I wonder if we can see it. It's right there.
It's a little off. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
thank you.
Wow. Could you
But
remind
yeah,
us what the Five of Swords looks like in the Rider-Waite Smith deck? I'm sh-
so the Five of Swords, it has two people. One person's holding two swords, and the other person is like injured, and he's walking off. And there's three swords on the ground, and it's either like you lost and you're walking away, or if you won, did you really win? What was the cost?
Right. I now remember which card that is. I can understand the challenge of conveying that. That's no easy feat. And did you feel like you mentioned the universe was really honing in on this card. Did you, whatever you'd like to share or not share, want to respect your personal life, but did you feel like that aligned, like that specific card aligned with something in your life? Do you feel the universe was trying to like have you focus on something, or was it just more like a creative, like a creative process that the universe was trying to focus you on?
So what I noticed was that like early on when I started with the major arcana, I just kind of started here and went down. um, and what I noticed with the major arcana is that whatever card I was working on would just start reflecting in my life, um, which is fine for some of the cards, but there are a few where I was like, I don't want this reflected in my life. And so I shifted my intentions to I wanted this to reflect in the card process itself. And that made my personal life much easier as I was going through the project. Creatively, it was a nightmare in places like the Five of Swords, but I feel it was the right choice to make.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Now, speaking of the process, what advice would you give to somebody who has an idea in their brains or in their energy, their soul, and they want to create a tarot card deck? I guess from more a practical standpoint, like what advice would you give to somebody who wants to create their own deck from conceptualizing it all the way to publishing?
So I would say don't look at it as one big project. Break it down into chunks. You have the major arcana and then you have the four minor arcana. So it's five chunks. And then one thing that really helped me was that it was just like, okay, each card is its own mini project. So I'm not necessarily doing an entire tarot deck. I'm just doing this one card right now. And so that's what I would recommend is just break it into itty bitty.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned that each card took on average a week, except for the Five of Swords, as we spoke about. So it sounded like it took you just over a year. Like it took you quite a while, and I mean that just says all the intention you put into it. But would you say it took like a year to 2 years to complete your deck?
21 months.
Wow, wow. Okay, that's so much hard work, and so exciting that it's your baby is going to be out there very soon.
Yes, so they sent me an advanced copy, and the first time I shuffled it, it was the weirdest feeling ever.
Because I can only imagine as the two people like ourselves who are used to using other people's card decks, shuffling them, reading with them, and then you have created a deck and it's yours. Like that is an amazing experience. Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
So not only that aspect, but also it's just like this has only ever been cloth, and it's in a very set and specific pattern, and to suddenly not only does it feel different, but to just suddenly have it in just this random new arrangement, it took my brain a minute to be like, whoa, okay, the cross stitch and the tarot. And I think that's the other weird thing about it is just like, yes, it's the same deck, but the cross stitch and this are two different things.
Right. I forgot to mention that, yes, these are, I mean, obviously, these are actually cross stitched visuals that you would then captured for images for the deck. So, although all these cross stitched works, are they going to, do you plan to do anything with the original cross stitch works? Or is it like for safekeeping for yourself?
This is hanging on my wall. like,
Those are the those are the manually cross stitched work behind you.
yeah, this is
Oh,
the yeah, it's the original one that I cross stitched. I pulled it off my wall for this interview because it's a great
okay.
backdrop.
Oh, for I thought it was like the way you printed them onto your cards. This is like a print. Oh wow. So is this one large canvas and you,
Yes, it is
oh my
one giant
goodness.
tapestry.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool. I did not realize because I guess on camera it didn't translate. So I'm so glad you said that. That is so cool. It was already a cool visual behind you, but that's even cooler. And I love how in each box you're including I think I see here 6 butterfly patterns so readers can cross
Yes,
stitch themselves. Like that's great.
yes, yes, yes. So there's a beginner pattern and an advanced version of the same kind of design.
I love that. I love how you were involving the readers and your customer, your soon to be customers in discovering this activity for themselves. I think that's so great. So last question before we wrap up, where can listeners find out more about you? Where can they purchase your deck? You know, website, social, all the things.
So my website is starlayilmaz.com. I have a Facebook, Pinterest, and stuff, but I'm barely on those. I'm usually on Instagram at Starla Yilmaz Tarot, and I am working on getting an Etsy shop because I want to be able to, you. I want to be able to offer, signed book plates and little swag packs and stuff if people want that kind of thing. That will be Starla Yilmaz as well. And you can it this is not an indie deck, so you can get my deck anywhere. It's on Amazon. Barnes and Noble will also have it. And if you would like to go into your local metaphysical shop and special order it, that would be really helpful too.
I will definitely let my local shop know because I think this is so unique and so great. And I mean, there are so many tarot decks that get released and so many beautiful decks. And not only is the Butterfly Wisdom Tarot deck beautiful, but it's just it just did something for me when when you show me the images. I looked at your website. It's so uniquely made. So major kudos and congratulations
Thank
on this
you.
milestone. But thank you so much for joining Third Eyesight. It was so good to chat with you about it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Follow the podcast and please leave a review. If you want me to talk about a specific subject on the podcast or you have a question for the podcast, go to juanfranciscospirit.com and go to my contact page and submit that question.